Have you ever wondered why you keep attracting the same type of relationships over and over again? Why you find yourself seeking approval from people who can never give you what you truly need? Or why, despite all your efforts to heal and grow, you still feel like something invisible is holding you back from becoming who you're meant to be? Imagine for a moment that everything you think you know about your struggles is just the surface, that beneath your conscious awareness there's an invisible force shaping every decision you make, every boundary you fail to set, every relationship that leaves you feeling empty. This force isn't your fault, but it is your responsibility to understand it. The truth is, most of us are walking around carrying an emotional blueprint that was written before we could even speak. We're living our lives according to patterns that were established in our earliest relationships, patterns so deeply embedded that we mistake them for our own authentic desires and needs. But what if I told you that the very thing you've been searching for outside yourself has been within your power to create all along? This isn't about blaming anyone, especially not your mother. This is about understanding something far more complex and profound than simple cause and effect. This is about recognizing that the relationship you had with your primary caregiver created an internal template that continues to operate in your adult life, often in ways that work against your own best interests. Think about it. How many times have you found yourself in situations where you're giving more than you're receiving, where you're trying to earn love instead of simply accepting it, where you're walking on eggshells to avoid abandonment? These aren't random occurrences. They're the result of an unconscious program that's been running in the background of your life since childhood. The mother complex, as depth psychology calls it, isn't just about your actual mother. It's about the archetypal energy of the nurturing, protective, life-giving force that every human being needs to feel secure and whole. When this energy is distorted, absent, or overwhelming in our early development, it creates a wound that follows us into adulthood. We end up seeking from others what we never received, or we shut down entirely to protect ourselves from further disappointment. But here's what's really happening beneath the surface. You're not just carrying your own unfulfilled needs. You're carrying generations of unfulfilled needs. You're unconsciously loyal to patterns that served your family system, even when those patterns no longer serve you. You're living out scripts that were written long before you were born, scripts that say things like, don't outshine your parents, don't be too happy when others are suffering, or sacrifice yourself to keep the peace. This invisible loyalty is one of the most powerful forces in human psychology, and most people never even realize it exists. They wonder why they can't seem to break through certain barriers, why success feels uncomfortable, why they sabotage themselves just when things are going well. They don't realize they're unconsciously honoring a family pattern that equates personal fulfillment with betrayal. The cruel irony is that this loyalty, which feels like love, actually perpetuates the very suffering it's trying to honor. By staying small, by repeating the patterns of limitation and pain, you're not helping anyone. You're just ensuring that the cycle continues, that the unhealed wounds get passed down to the next generation. So, what does healing actually look like? It starts with recognition. It starts with seeing that the voice in your head that tells you you're not enough, that judges your every move, that keeps you trapped in cycles of seeking external validation, that voice isn't really yours. It's an internalized version of early experiences, a composite of messages you received about your worth, your place in the world, your right to take up space, and pursue your own happiness. The first step toward freedom is learning to recognize when this internalized voice is speaking versus when your authentic self is speaking. Your authentic self doesn't need to prove anything to anyone. It doesn't need to earn love through performance or sacrifice. It doesn't need to stay small to make others comfortable. Your authentic self knows its inherent worth and acts from that place of wholeness rather than from a place of lack. But this recognition isn't just an intellectual exercise. It requires you to feel the feelings you've been avoiding, to grieve what you never received, to acknowledge the ways you've been seeking from others what you need to give yourself. It requires you to stop waiting for someone else to validate your worth and start doing the work of building a loving, supportive relationship with yourself. And this is where most people get stuck. They want the healing to happen quickly. painlessly without having to feel the full weight of their unmet needs. They want someone else to do the work for them, to provide the love and security they've been seeking. But true healing requires you to become the source of what you've been looking for. It requires you to develop the capacity to nurture yourself, to set boundaries, to tolerate the discomfort of other people's disapproval when you choose what's truly best for you. The mother you needed may never have existed or may have been limited by her own wounds and circumstances. But the capacity to mother yourself, to provide yourself with consistent love, support, and guidance, that capacity exists within you right now. It's been there all along, waiting for you to recognize it and begin to develop it. This isn't about becoming selfish or cutting yourself off from meaningful connections with others. It's about learning to love from fullness rather than from emptiness, to give from choice rather than from compulsion, to receive love without losing yourself in the process. It's about breaking the cycle of seeking outside yourself what can only be found within. Now that you understand the invisible dynamics at play, let's go deeper into the most challenging part of this journey, because there's something even more subtle and powerful than the patterns we've discussed, something that keeps people trapped even when they've done years of therapy and self-work. It's the unconscious belief that if you truly heal, if you truly become free and happy, you'll somehow be betraying those who came before you. This isn't a logical belief. Logic would tell you that your happiness doesn't diminish anyone else's, that your healing doesn't make anyone else's pain worse. But the unconscious mind doesn't operate on logic. It operates on loyalty, on belonging, on the primitive survival mechanism that says, I am safe as long as I am the same as my tribe. So even when you consciously want to change, even when you're committed to breaking free from limiting patterns, there's often a part of you that pulls back just when you're about to make a real breakthrough. It's as if you've made an unconscious vow to stay at the same level of happiness, success, and fulfillment as your family of origin. To go beyond that feels like abandonment, like arrogance, like a betrayal of everything you were taught about love and loyalty. But here's the revolutionary truth that can set you free. Honoring your mother, your family, your ancestors doesn't mean repeating their limitations. True honor comes through transformation, through taking the raw material of your experiences and alchemizing them into wisdom, strength, and authentic power. True honor comes through healing the wounds so they don't get passed down to future generations. When you stay stuck in old patterns out of misguided loyalty, you're not helping anyone. You're just ensuring that the cycle of pain continues. But when you have the courage to break free, to heal, to live authentically, you create a new template. You show others that it's possible to transcend the circumstances of your upbringing. You become an example of what's possible when someone refuses to accept limitation as their destiny. This process of breaking free isn't gentle or comfortable. It involves dismantling the very identity you've built around being wounded, around being the one who sacrifices for others, around being the one who doesn't ask for too much. It involves recognizing that you've been living as if you're still that small child who needed protection and approval, rather than the capable adult you've become. The most profound shift happens when you realize that you don't need anyone's permission to be happy, successful, or fulfilled. You don't need anyone to understand your choices or validate your path. You don't need to wait for others to heal before you can heal. You don't need to stay small to make others comfortable. You have the right to live fully, to take up space, to pursue your dreams, to set boundaries, to say no when something doesn't serve you. But with this freedom comes responsibility. The responsibility to learn how to comfort yourself when you're afraid, how to encourage yourself when you doubt, how to celebrate yourself when you succeed, how to forgive yourself when you make mistakes. The responsibility to become the loving, supportive parent to yourself that you may have never had. This inner work isn't a one-time event. It's an ongoing practice of choosing consciousness over unconsciousness, authenticity over people-pleasing, self-compassion over self-criticism. It's learning to recognize when old patterns are being triggered and having the tools to respond differently. It's developing the capacity to tolerate the discomfort that comes with change, with growth, with stepping into your full power. The journey isn't about becoming perfect or never feeling pain again. It's about developing a different relationship with your pain, your fears, your limitations. Instead of being controlled by them, you learn to hold them with compassion while still choosing what's best for your growth and well-being. As you begin to live from this place of inner authority, something remarkable happens. You stop attracting people who want to rescue you or who need you to rescue them. You stop settling for relationships based on need and start creating relationships based on genuine choice and mutual respect. You stop seeking validation from others and start living from your own inner knowing. The people around you might not understand this transformation at first. Some might even resist it, especially if they've been benefiting from your old patterns of self-sacrifice and people-pleasing. But that's not your responsibility to manage. Your responsibility is to stay true to your own path, to keep choosing growth over stagnation, authentic connection over codependency. This is the ultimate act of self-love, refusing to betray yourself for anyone else's comfort. It's saying yes to your own life, your own dreams, your own happiness, not because you don't care about others, but because you finally understand that you can't give what you don't have. You can't love others authentically if you don't love yourself. You can't create healthy relationships if you're operating from unhealed wounds. The end of this journey isn't a destination where everything is perfect and easy. It's the beginning of living as your authentic self, with all the joy and challenge that entails. It's the freedom to feel deeply, to love fully, to pursue your dreams, to make mistakes, to learn, to grow, to become who you were always meant to be. So the question isn't whether you're ready for this transformation. The question is, how much longer are you willing to live as less than who you truly are? How much longer will you let old patterns dictate your choices? How much longer will you seek from others what you have the power to give yourself? The journey of breaking free from the mother complex isn't about rejecting love or connection. It's about learning to love so authentically, so completely, that you transform not just your own life, but the lives of everyone you touch. It's about becoming the person who breaks the cycle, who heals the wound, who creates something new and beautiful from the raw material of their experience. That person is you. That power is within you. That choice is available to you right now.